All right, so the first step in installing your Ring Pro doorbell is to identify where the location of your existing chime is. So here's mine. The cover comes off pretty easily. And you can see there's a front and there's the transformer terminals that were mentioned in the manual. So basically, you take your Ring Pro power kit and attach one of these to each one of those terminals, and it doesn't matter which one goes where. And then you find a location to tape this up. See that little piece of double-sided tape? So the purpose of this Pro power kit is to ensure your doorbell gets the power that it needs. So I might mount mine like to the side if it's, or maybe like here, like that. But make sure it doesn't like get in the way of any moving parts, you know? I might just mount it on the side like here. Like here. So before you do anything though, you want to make sure you shut off the power. So the power is low. So that you want to turn off the power. You don't want to risk it. All right, so you want to go to your circuit breaker box. You know, identify what is what and make sure you turn the power off before you hook up the Pro Power Pack. All right, so I've slid this down so it doesn't get in the way, and I figured out where I'm gonna put this. I'm not gonna tape it yet, but I wanna make sure everything works, so I'm just gonna wedge it in here like that, and then I'm gonna attach these two cables right here. So let me get that out of the way. And like I mentioned before, it doesn't really matter which one goes into which slot. So we can go ahead and loosen it and just slide it in. Like that. And tighten it up again. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same for this transformer. So I just did the front. This is the transformer. Tighten it. And I think I'm done here. I'm gonna put the cover back on and then set up the doorbell and make sure it works, okay? So I'll be back with the next step. So I'm trying to figure out which color looks best here. The one on the far right blends in the best, but you might want some contrast. The black matches like the black mailbox. The brown is a nice contrast too to the off-white. The silver, it's over. All right, let me take off the Skybell HD. So they're usually hooked up by just one screw on the bottom, like this. When you loosen it up, it comes right off like this. You can see there's only two wires as well, and I can take off the mounting brackets with these two screws right here. So let me go ahead and take off these and make sure they don't touch each other. Put that down. These wires are like pretty hard. Maybe you have some pliers. You just pull it out. Having a power drill would be helpful, I guess, but I don't have mine. I lent it to a friend. Now that I think about it, I might need it. So let me just take it off first. So I kind of have to figure out like how I want to place this. I'll just put it to the side for now. And you see how it's aiming upwards. So that might be where the wedge comes in and make it like, you know, like this, instead of aiming to the sky. So I will use the wedge. I could decide to trim some of this off so that it sits more flush, like that. So I might use a rotary tool to do something like that. I don't know, I might just screw it and let it hang a little bit out, because I don't want to cut anything, just in case I change it. Whatever I ever change the doorbell, then I'll have like a groove. So these are some of the things that you have to decide. You could move it to the side, but then this wire would have to route over, and I'd much rather have it hidden. So I think I'm just gonna screw it like this for now, with the wedge. All right, I'll be back. Let me get that set up. So you're mounting the wedge mount. You can see there's 4 sets of screws here. The very shortest ones is to mount the doorbell to the wedge, and then the second shortest is to mount the wedge to the wall. And this, the third shortest, or the second longest, that's if you're wedging 2 pieces, and the longest one is if you're wedging 3 pieces. Note that it does come with only 2 wedges in the box. Alright, so I got my backup drill here, so I'm just going to screw on this little template here, and like I said earlier, I am not cutting this just in case I ever get rid of this doorbell. Alright, at this point I have mounted my wedge right here. I have one screw right here, one screw right here. I use one wedge, so I use the second longest screws in the bag. The bag is labeled very nicely. You want to make sure you don't want to tighten it too much because it could crack the plastic. So I left it the way it is right now, and so it'll be nice and flat. It'll show here. So I lined it up with the top of this, so I didn't have to use the other level. I'm gonna go ahead and peel this off. This is just a warning to make sure you have enough power voltage. I'm gonna peel that off, and after wiring, it may take a few minutes to power on. The manual actually says if the lights are flashing, it could take up to an hour, so be forewarned of that. And it doesn't say which one goes to where, but I think either one can go to either one of these. I think when you press the doorbell, I think it just trips the 2 or connects them 2, and you know, that's how it works. And I do want to connect it from the top because this will get in the way. Okay, so I'm going to loosen this up so that I can slip it in there. Give myself enough space. See? Okay. And again, these wires are hard. And you don't want to pull them out too much either. So you have to kind of find a way to do this. So here's the tricky part. I want to make sure it's under the screw. I'm just going to push against it and make sure it's under the screw. Okay, it's under the screw. Okay, and I'm going to have to open this one up a little bit more. To make sure I can wrap around this other screw. Sorry, it's really tight. So it does come with an extension kit. Don't forget to turn the power back on when you're done.
Continue.
Alright, so I missed recording that part, but it has power and it said, "Welcome to Ring, the world's most advanced doorbell. Follow the instructions to the app to continue." So I'm gonna push this back in and it's gonna look something like this. So there's a small hole right here and there's a hole right there. I'm gonna line that up, and there's also the same thing on the bottom, okay? So I'm gonna screw that in right now. So I'm gonna line up the top right there. And you don't want to use a power drill for this. You want to manually do it so you don't over tighten anything. And I'm not going to tighten it all the way yet because I want to line up the bottom. I want to make sure I give myself space. So right there. Super easy. This fell out. That's all there is to it. You want to make sure you remove the film on this and this, but before we do that, the next step is to download the Ring app and then set up the Chime / Wi-Fi extender, and then set this up. So do the Chime first within the app and then do this, okay? So here's my Chime, and here's that power adapter we talked about earlier, and you can see it slides one way. The opening's on the bottom. So you would kind of like put it this way, where you can read the words here and the word push. So you just slide it in like this. You kind of tilt it, right? And then you can slide it down, okay, until it's snapped like that. And then you can just plug it in and set it up in your Ring app. So at this point, we decided to go with the black to match the mailbox. And so I'm gonna go ahead and rip this film off. And there's one more here. And the button itself. Okay, so make sure, at this point you should have tested this and made sure everything works. You can see there's like a little thing here. So I'm gonna put this cap on like that. This is where you take your screwdriver, flip it around for this little special key, okay? And you just screw it in from the bottom. Let me go ahead and find that little hole. It was right here. There it is. And that's what secures this whole thing. And I'm done. And you just push the button. So right after the chime out here, it rings the doorbell inside, so there is a half-second delay. That's it. Let me know if any questions or comments. It was super easy to set up. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.